Hey, what's going on, guys? So it's Alan's Garage here. I know that lately I haven't been uploading, and the reason for that is that I haven't been able to continue the Eclipse build. One, mainly because financially I have not really been that stable at the moment. There's been some things happening on with my personal life, so I kind of had to put that on pause. Like I mentioned in my previous video, there are times where I do body work for people who I know, just kind of earn some nice little extra cash here and there. And I'm currently working on this Mustang. It just kind of needs some body work on the front bumper. I'm gonna have to do body work and repainting on it. So I figured, hey, I might as well make a video on this and take y'all guys on this journey with me. Let me know down on the comments below if it is something that y'all would be interested in watching, or if y'all strictly want to stick to builds. But like I said, I do body work on several cars from time to time, and if it's something that y'all wouldn't mind watching, as far as me, how I do the repairs, things of that nature, then I'll go ahead and carry on with these videos of me fixing the cars. But as far as this car goes, I'll take y'all with me on this journey. Alright guys, so as y'all can see, this is the main hit that we are going to be focusing on. I already started on removing the front bumper. That's detached, as well as this side right here. But I do notice that there are some scrapes here and there, some rock chips, things of that nature. So I will take care of that as well. But again, this will be the main focus. So I will go ahead and show y'all how I go about removing the bumper, fixing it, and painting it. Alright guys, so I was able to take off the bumper. It wasn't too difficult. Most of it was just clips. I went ahead and took off the screw that was located in this area and this area down below. Same on the other side. It did have a screw right here that held on to this area. And then I just had to remove these clips off of this area. It had 4 of them throughout the whole bumper, 2 on this side, 2 on the opposite end, as well as take off that screw and those clips. And the majority of it pretty much came off. So now the next step is to disassemble it, as far as taking off these inner pieces for the bumper, the fog light covers, the reflectors, the license plate, and this grill part as well, and the bottom lip. Once we remove that, we'll get to wet sanding it to get it prepared to then get worked on for body work. Now that I got a better angle of what the damage is, I will go ahead and start working on it. What I'm thinking of doing is hitting it with a heat gun. Since it is like plastic or fiberglass, hit it up with the heat gun, push it out, then apply a wet towel over it so that it hardens back into position. Get it to as close as possible to its OEM position. Once that is done, we can go ahead and apply some fiberglass jelly over it to smooth it out. Sort of how you would do it on a aluminum fender or steel fender with Bondo, except it'll be fiberglass, so it's a little bit more flexible and it doesn't crack on us. So yes, I will go ahead and apply the heat gun to this area, and down here, and then try to get this ridge rebuilt as close to as OEM as possible, and work on this area. I will most likely do it in a time lapse, so that it doesn't take up too much time, but I will go ahead and show y'all how I take care of this. Alright guys, so after a couple layers of the fiberglass resin, or fiberglass jelly really, I was able to go ahead and get the body work done. I did have to rely on some spot putty because I was getting those crater-like surfaces on the finishing sanding. So I just went ahead and applied a really thin layer of that finished putty to fill that in. Thankfully, I was able to recreate this line pretty well. It's not the best, but you know, it's It's fairly good. It's fairly OEM sort of. So as well as this line right here, I went ahead and again filled all of the I went ahead and filled in all of the craters or dents, as you would call them. Sanded it down by hand. I did go in with a DA at first, just because I like to hit it with a DA to smooth it out. And then once I start reapplying and making sure that I get it nice and flat, I do start to then sand it with my sanding blocks. I hit it with some 36 grit, the long block at first, just to really break down the area. And then once I got it closer to where I wanted it, I went ahead and got some 80 grit paper on the smaller block and just went ahead and smoothed it out. I went ahead and brought out my lamp to get a better visual of where it is that I am going. So I'm currently waiting on this to dry so then I can sand it down, and then primer will be the next step. Again, I did just focus on this one area. So once I primer this and it's dry, I will give the whole bumper a nice wash and then drop it off to my local paint store so that they can then provide me with enough paint so that I can blend this area, and then I can go ahead and start wet sanding the whole thing, apply the blend, and you'll see how the finish looks. So just stay tuned. Okay guys, so I went ahead and applied the primer already. This is still the first coat, which is why it still looks pretty transparent. You might still be able to see some of the scratches, but I am letting this first layer dry up. I will try to apply a nice thick enough layer so that when we do the wet sanding, it gets rid of any scuffs and scratches so that they're not visible through the paint, and that you get a really clean and nice texture. I do understand that the bumper is pretty dirty, but again, right now my main concern is to make sure this is primed. Once that's nice and primed and I give it a nice wet sand, I believe that is when I will take it to go ahead and get color matched so that I can purchase the paint for this car. I want to say probably half a pint will be enough to cover this little area right here. But worst comes to worst, thankfully the paint shop's just across the street. But stay tuned and you'll see the finished progress. Alright guys, I hope the fan doesn't bother the sound quality too much, but I actually just went ahead and got my paint made for the bumper. So I'll do a quick time lapse of me wet sanding the whole thing. Hope you guys enjoy. Alright guys, so I was finally able to finish off that bumper. I did have so many delays. I don't know what kind of undercoat they had used on it prior to me painting it, but the paint just had a really ugly reaction. It peeled up. I would have recorded it, but I was just stressing too much on it. Had a lot of things going on as well. As you can see, I actually even got an injury here at the shop. Nothing major, thankfully, just a couple scrapes. But I finally was able to lay down the clear coat and finish off that bumper. Now we just wait for it to dry overnight. We'll throw it back on the Mustang and I can finally return it. Originally, I did have planned to upload this video for last week, but again, unfortunate amount of events ended up happening and delayed that process. But again, the bumper is now done. As y'all saw in the video,